Hello there. This is Cindy at cindybdesigns.com. Thank you for joining me today. This is the card that we will be making. I don't have a sample. Another close-up. You're going to get the usual side view. This is more of an adult Halloween card, and I'm going to give you a couple color combinations outside of this throughout this video. So these are the materials and supplies that you will need. We will be working with the Harvest Hallows bundle along with the Hallows Night Magic. We're going to be using that pumpkin that you see there by my right thumb. Yeah, that took a second. And then that sentiment there of Happy Halloween. There is the apple punch, and we will also need the triple banner punch. We're going to be using linen thread. Got some embossing going on here with Versamark, our gold powder, scratch cardstock, a very vanilla pumpkin pie crumb cake, and the cobwebs folder. And that is going to be our card. I've cut everything down for you. We are going to have a top folding landscape 5.5 across by 4.25 down card. The very vanilla panel is going to be 5.25 across by 4 inches down. And each one of those little panels that you see there of the soft suede and pumpkin pie, they are going to be, oh, so much more notes. 5 1/8 across by 1 7/8 down. So that is a piece of our gold brushed metallic cardstock. And again, the measurements, everything will be over on the blog at cindybdesigns.com. So I'm bringing in our cobweb embossing folder, and I'm going to dry emboss that panel through the embossing folder. And I used plates 1 and 2, put 3 on top, and that's how I did that dry embossing right there. So when I bring it back in, that is embossed. That is debossed because the lines sink in. So you can pick or choose either which way that you want to put on there. I wanted the lines raised, which is embossed. So I'm bringing in our scrap pieces of cardstock along with the Harvest Hallows, the pumpkin image there, with the Stamparatus, and I am going to stamp a pumpkin on all 3 of those pieces of cardstock with Versamark, and I'm laying down our embossing buddy first, which is retired, but I'm still going to use it. I don't know why it retired, but yeah. Versamark ink, it is a sticky ink. It will hold the powder. It will stay wet for you a little while, like alcohol ink, but you still want to work fast while you're doing it. So I laid it down twice because I had no idea how juicy my pads were. And I'm bringing in the gold embossing powder, shaking out the excess, tilting it over to the left where my window is in the sunlight, making sure that I don't have any, strays there. I do on the crumb cake, so I take an angled paintbrush and carefully knock them off. So moving on now, heat setting 2 to dry. Anytime you want to emboss. Heat setting 1 is more so for the ink, and I've talked about that with you before, so you can see how quick it dries. You want to keep your tool moving and do not put your paper on your desk because you want that air to flow through so it heat embosses quicker and does not warp your cardstock. So I'm bringing back in, and I forgot this, the first time around, or so I would have done it all at one time, our pumpkin pie panel. And I don't know if I said this or not, substituting out the pumpkin pie for cinnamon cider, that would have been really fun and really cool and really cute. So that's another option. Lay that down on Versamark. It is crooked and not liking that too much. Straighten it out once again. I'm going to stamp it out again just to make sure it is straight, and it is. This is why there's 2 sides to every piece of cardstock. I flip that over, and now I'm laying down our Happy Halloween sentiment, which is from the Hallows Night Magic, and I'm going to coat that with our gold embossing powder. and then go ahead and get that heat embossed as well. Moving along now, I have all three of our panels back in of our pumpkins. I'm taking a Swiffer and a Sentiment, a Swiffer cloth, and I'm wiping off the excess embossing buddy powder. And I had to cut it down because I know exactly how I'm going to have to insert that stamp into the punch. I came up short. So here's a hack I use a lot. I just simply grab a Post-it note and stick it at the very top there, and that helps me get the image into the punch. And I'm looking top to bottom, left to right, making sure that everything's measured up. The Post-it note does come out on the stem I also want to punch, so I punch a separate stem out along the way from the cardstock, and that's where I notice, oh, my gold powder is not all the way dry there at the very top. Brought back in the heat tool, tilted it towards my window, got that dry, but that is how long that ink will last. So I'm punching out all three pumpkins and all three stems at the same time. And again, that cinnamon cider cardstock, that would look fantastic. I wish I would have done that and then taken a picture for you. But, you know, maybe next time. But this is a great adult Halloween card that doesn't seem too childish, but is yet very fallish at the same time. So that is what our images are looking like. I'm bringing in that triple banner punch right now. That is 1.5 inches across. And there's a slot in there to where it lines up perfectly to keep your cardstock straight. Punch that out. We'll trim it down later on. So now I'm going to take the soft suede embossed cobweb folder panel, hidden Stampin' Seal, yeah, skip intro. On the back of that, didn't remember I only had 1/8 of an inch because I don't do that too often. So you're going to see at the bottom right there how everything's positioned, but you know what, it does work out. So I got that down and take the Swiffer cloth to it again, wipe everything down, put a little bit of seal on the back to secure the linen thread. And this time I'm not going to color it, but I am going to wrap it around 3 times, and I do want that being held down. So that way we can do a, what they call a cheater's bow, and you will see that coming up. So I have everything down there, and I'm going to snip the ends, and this does end up laying down very nicely on the soft suede card base, adding more Stampin' Seal Plus to the back, and then I'm going to adhere that right on top of our soft suede card base. And now I'm kind of figuring out, okay, how do I want to get that banner in there? Figured it out, did a pencil mark. I'm going to bring in our trimmer, line that right up where I should cut it, and that ends up pretty much being 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. You do want to put some of our sticky paper on the back, our adhesive sheets on the back of the gold brushed metallic cardstock. That's kind of an option though. You could always use Seal Plus. You know, that's up to you. I already had that in my scrap bin, so I did that way. Lined up all my little pumpkin stems at the top there. I do know I want to put the crumb cake one on Stampin' Dimensionals, which is in the middle. So I have our black Stampin' Dimensionals there. Run the pokey tool down, and you can see how that really helps take off the release paper there. And I'm going to set that on top because the other two, I'm just going to use seal to get them down. And I wanted to give myself like a visual where to line everything up. So the pumpkin pie is going to go over on the left, up a little bit. I'm trying to get that center top to bottom to the left using the crumb cake pumpkin pie. Well, pumpkin, no. Yeah, that too. Then I'm putting snail on, or seal. on the back of the Very Vanilla. And I'm looking at my margin on the left-hand side and getting that to match up. Then I'm going to pull off the release paper from our dimensional pumpkin there. And that's going to be centered up between those two lines that you see right there over towards the right of the pumpkin pie pumpkin and the left of the Very Vanilla pumpkin. And I'm pulling in my tweezers and liquid adhesive and just putting a little bit of glue on the back of that. And I'm going to lift up the top of the pumpkin just to sneak that down underneath there a little bit. And I will be doing that for all three of our pumpkins. And they're going to be tilted to the right-hand side to keep everything cohesive and lined up. So there we go. So mainly, we're in the home stretch now. The rest of this project will be me figuring out how to tie the bow. I tried it upside down the first time around because I didn't turn my cardstock around because I know how my default goes. But I do need to take some time off from the last week of October to maybe the last week of November after Thanksgiving. I just have some business I need to take care of. I will try to sneak in every now and then to keep you posted of what is going on with Stampin' Up. So yeah, I had to turn my entire card around. But if you have any, still text me, email me, whatever, I will still be available. Just not projects right now. I unfortunately can't pull it off. So I'm fixing the bow up there and pulling the tails of it, getting everything lined up there. And then I'm going to snip it all off. But I do hope that you enjoy this project today. And again, if you have any questions or anything like that, please don't hesitate to email me. And I would really love it if you would leave a comment and hit like and subscribe to this video. Sign up for my newsletter. And that is our very clean and simple, more so adult Halloween card. Change the sentiment out for a fall card. Change your colors. The possibilities are always endless with our products, and there's so much more that you could do for this design. I would like to thank Stampin' Hits on the Road for the inspiration, and I hope you all have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you again next week.